Black Mental Matters, and we are again live here at the Big Therapy Mixer. Makiba, having a good time?
I'm having a great time eating some great folks.
And eating some good food. They had the Church's chicken sandwich and everything. What was that, Popeyes? It was good.
He took his shoes off when he ate it.
But we are joined now by Deidre Neely, who is LPC, which stands for Licensed
Professional
Counselor. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And thank you again for all that you do to help people in your therapy. So tell us a little bit about what did you do as a therapist?
So for me, at this point in my career, been in the field for a little over 20 years. I specialize in crisis intervention. So I've been, and for the past 7 years, worked for the state of Georgia's crisis line. So that's when people are in having suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, they're psychotic.
You're the person on the other end of the line.
I'm the person on the other end. They're having substance use issues.
Wow.
So they call into the crisis line, and then we assist them with getting into services. We can dispatch mobile crisis teams out to them, help them get into mental institutions if need be. We always want to do everything we can to keep the person in their home as much as possible, but we do know that mental institutions are needed to help stabilize that individual so they can go back home and start their treatment again or start treatment for the first time.
Wow. So those, sometimes people say, oh, those crisis lines, but those lines actually are very, very helpful and beneficial. I know is there any stories you could share with us?
One thing about working in behavioral health, period, is that you meet people in the most critical moments of their life. Right. And it's not something that even a lot of mental health professionals can handle. You have to be balanced as yourself, taking care of yourself to be able to step in and provide somebody support. And when I first started at the crisis line, I remember having someone that was in the process of ending their life. Young man going through a very difficult time in life, and he could not see anything getting better for him. Everything we talked about, 2 hours on the phone, and he had the threat of hanging himself. And at the end of the call, he hung himself. We were able to find him.
Oh, thank God.
I heard the police come in, I heard the phone drop, I heard the chair drop. So even for myself, that was
traumatic.
Yes.
Right, for you.
And by the grace of God, about 3 weeks later, that young man called back into the line. And it was like,
wow.
Full just circle. To say thank you.
Yes.
He was getting the treatment, and it was still tough, and it's always going to be tough when you come out of something like that. Trauma in our lives, that's the thing that we have to, even from childhood, that a lot of us don't realize we have experienced some form of trauma. And it is, how do we react to that thing? How do we get out of that thing? For me personally, and even my private practice that I had for a while, the goal that I've always talked to people about, one, is forgiveness. You have to start with yourself. Start with that situation, those individuals. Forgiveness is not about telling that person, oh, you're free from what you did. No. It's about being free from yourself.
That's
exactly.
Right. That's right.
So you can heal and you can move on. So I think for me, one of the things, being a preacher's kid, and growing up and not a typical preacher. I always call my daddy one of the hippie preachers.
He kept it real.
He real. He a little too real sometimes. But the wonderful thing about it is he has my mother, who's been right there, and she's the extrovert and she's a cheerleader and everything. That wonderful mix that I have been able to see. So for me, being able to see people in crisis, growing up in the church setting, with people who truly do love Christ, and moving them into another position in life where they can actually grow and go forward and provide to people, sitting even in a crisis moment, is still something where you have to lean back as mental health professionals. We don't take care of ourselves, because I tell my staff all the time, listen, you got people outside that's digging ditches. And at the end of the day, they are tired. Guess what? At the end of this day that you have given of yourself, your mind, your soul, your spirit to other people, you feel like you've been outside digging ditches. So you have to get that balance, that wellness balance in there for yourself as you give to other people. Because of course, if our cup is empty, I can't feed your thirst either.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's but in this field, it has been a wonderful thing to help people. I can't imagine doing anything else.
So you were just talking about the crisis intervention line, the 1-800-crisis number. I heard in the news that a lot of people are now trying to, I think in the UK, they've now moved into a text.
Yes.
And that is because they're saying that millennials and
Yes.
Generation Z
Yes.
are more likely to text.
Yes.
But we haven't heard that many politicians talking about mental health policy and things like that.
They're starting to.
Okay.
They're starting to because this is a bit controversial because it's at their doorstep. And so you're starting to see a lot of funding come, even in the state of Georgia, towards funding, especially in the school setting, because unfortunately, schools have become what homes used to be, where children would receive their nurturing, would receive the protection. School is now that place. And so now you have legislatives that have come into play that is setting up mental health professionals in the school to provide that mental health support. Now, you talk about text chat. Text chat is something that I and the company that I work for right now, we developed the new MyGCal app. It is something that we have been promoting. I've been going around the state. And we are really pushing it out. Thankfully, last week I got to see about 500 school counselors to push it out to these kids.
Wow.
And to get this app out to those kids ages 10 to age 26, because we still consider 26-year-olds adolescents. I'm sure some mamas and daddies will be like, yes, they are.
You're not
Yes,
wrong.
you ain't grown yet. You're still in my house. You're still on my insurance.
Right.
To give them that opportunity to be able to reach us that way, because they're not going to dial 11 digits. I don't care if they dial National Suicide Prevention Line. Mind you, the National Suicide Prevention Line, if you're here in the state of Georgia and you have an area code that's a Georgia area code, you call them, it's going to come to us.
Okay.
And we're going to take care of you. And with that, but they're not going to dial that number. But they will pick up the phone and let me text in, let me chat with them. So that gives them the opportunity. And we really have been seeing a kick up, with kids actually utilizing it. Back in the spring, we had a young lady sitting in school, 9th grade, stressed out, AP student. And if I get a B on this test, I brought my anxiety medication to school and I'm going to go into the restroom. Now, she didn't want to give us much of anything because, of course, the text chat really is what we call a warm line, where they can talk to us without giving us their name and address and all that kind of thing. We're going to always try to find that information because in case something like that does come up, we can reach them quickly. So she spoke to the staff member, and they were trying to figure out something. Where was she? We knew she was in 9th grade. She actually gave us the zip code where she was located.
Wow.
Thankfully, it was in a smaller area in South Georgia where it was only one high school. And we were able to get in contact with the Board of Education. Board of Education got in contact with the high school.
Oh, wow.
High school principal got in contact with the school social worker. School social worker pulled that child back in. They called the mother. They called us back, and we dispatched the mobile crisis team out to provide that support.
Wow.
So it's a wonderful thing. We had a teacher, 24 years old, actually use the app himself. Because remember, 10 to 26. And he was stressed out because he didn't know what to do with these kids who were literally 5 years younger than him.
Wow.
And he's trying to give instruction.
Yeah.
And it's a 5-year difference. I don't think many people ever thought that, okay, well, there's a 21-year-old that's just graduated and now teaching
18-year-olds.
18-year-olds.
Right.
That's right.
You know?
For Georgia.
I remember
Yeah.
my
Teach
son.
for Georgia.
Yeah. Talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So he stayed on and texted with us for about an hour and a half. And at the end, he was contemplating, should he go back home to Texas? And he said, you know what? I really think I should go back home to Texas and try to work for my daddy's company. He said, but this is a real cool app. I'm going to give it to my kids.
Oh.
So
What's
has
the name
been
of the
good.
app again?
It's called the MyGCal app, MyGCAL. You can download it on Google Play and the Apple iOS store.
Okay.
You got to give because you've been saving lives. People been calling your numbers. I want to know all the numbers you got right now. Give me your phone. I want to know all the numbers.
Your personal phone, your home phone.
The Texas, everything that you got. Would you go ahead and let them know right now?
So if you're in need, 24/7, 365. It doesn't matter if you have any insurance or not. Doesn't matter where you're located in the state of Georgia. If you are in the state of Georgia, we will provide you support if you're having a suicide crisis, if you're experiencing depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. You can give us a call at 1-800-715-4225. Again, the number is 1-800-715-4225. If it's easier for you and you know about the National Suicide Prevention Line number, I won't quote that because it's close to our number. I think I'm a number off on that. But if you know that number, call it. It's going to send you to us anyway.
Okay.
And if you're between the ages of 10 years old and 26 years old, you can go to your Google Play Store or the Apple iOS store and download the MyGCal app.
Wow. Well, Deidre, I'm impressed. You impressed?
I'm blown away
Because we hard on folks.
Yeah.
Talk about you helping folks. What you done?
Right. Lately. What you do today?
Right. So that's a huge barrier that you all have overcome is the access.
Yes.
And meeting clients where they are
Yes.
because they're not going to call at that age. They
No.
want the anonymity of being able to
Yes.
text.
And we really, especially for that age group, they don't have to be in a point of thinking about harming themselves. Self-injurious behaviors is, of course, among that particular population is high, where they're cutting, they're punching, they're carving into their bodies, that kind of thing. They don't, it's not just for that. If they just had a bad day, if I wore an orange dress to school today and the kids were picking on me, text us. Let's talk about it. Because what a lot of kids don't realize is how strong they are and the supports that they have.
Right.
And sometimes you just need somebody to say that. Even as adults, I got a good friend I can call, I can talk to, and just say, hey, this is what's going on. And just to hear some encouragement, that makes a world of difference.
So we need for you to create the app for 35 to 65-year-olds so
right.
me and Vince can text when we're in need.
Listen, we got so much going on. We can't text that. We got to get on the phone.
Okay. Right.
Deidre Neal, it has definitely been a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
meet you, and we look forward to hearing more
Yes.
and more. And Makiba,
Yes. Thank you so much, Deidre.
Thank
you
you.
get to see.
Thank you.